understand the charge of fleeing and attempting to elude, we need to talk about what's happening out there with my clients. I had a client who decided to dress up his Mustang for Halloween. He had red and blue police lights on it. He had the badges and graphics on each side of the car. He then dressed up as a cop and he pulled over a woman and kidnapped her. He let her go after 5 minutes of being cuffed, and even the fake arrested woman thought it was a little odd that she was put in the passenger seat of a Mustang. But I think the point of all this is just that you never really know who's pulling you over. And it's those few seconds of uncertainty where you're wondering, is this real? Are they after the person that was driving like crap ahead of me or speeding? I never think it's me, and it is sometimes me that they're pulling over. But is that delay that gets you in trouble? This crime really happens when an impatient officer feels as though you're not pulling over as soon as the officer thinks you should. And at its core, a fleeing charge is a resisting an officer without violence, if you're familiar with that crime. The basic fleeing carries a maximum of 5 years in prison, but it doesn't take much to upgrade that fleeing to a second-degree felony where the prison time runs up to 15 years. And if somebody is injured during the fleeing incident, that charge carries a minimum mandatory of 3 years in prison, no gain time, and the government's entitled to seize the car that was used to flee. Also, you should know that every fleeing comes with a minimum 1-year driver's license suspension, and at the judge's leisure, the judge can go up to 5 years on that suspension. The good news is there are plenty of defenses to a fleeing charge, and I find that when I read these arrest reports, it always sounds worse than what really happened. So I like to pull the body cam and the dash cam, pull the traffic cams on the case. I want to see what really happened. Also, we defense attorneys are going to be checking the technicalities of the case, right? There's all sorts of loopholes regarding the insignias and jurisdictional markings of the car to make this crime stick. I'll give you an example. There was a case of Sidney Slack versus the state of Florida, where Slack was convicted of fleeing and attempting to elude. And at his trial, the officer testified that he was driving a marked patrol car with lights on top. Well, guess what? The appeals court threw out Slack's fleeing conviction, holding that just having a marked car isn't enough to sustain a conviction here. You've got to prove, first, yes, agency insignia marked, but second, you have to prove jurisdictional markings. There was no testimony as to the jurisdictional markings. Tell the court it was Orange County. Tell the court it was the city of Orlando. That fleeing charge for Slack was dismissed on a technicality, and there are lots of them on a fleeing charge. So I do hope that you get a good defense attorney. There is hope on these cases. Good luck with your case, and take care.